Indiana storms could get quite heavy in a brief amount of time, but she pushed the worry out of her mind as she reached for her keys and directed Leslie to get onto the back porch. "Wait for mommy, honey," she called over her shoulder as she locked the door and caught up to Leslie. Now, I think that this is interesting because what Joan writes here is, but she paused. Linda had this worry and she had this thought, right? This is the intuition. And she says, Linda wondered, why hadn't classes been canceled already? But she pushed that worry aside. That's what Joan wrote. She pushed the worry out of her mind and she just got back to her day. So I want you to just pause here and notice that the intuition really is something that's coming in all of the time. And we have the free will to choose to listen to it or not.
Welcome to the Angels and Awakening podcast, where we connect you with your angels, loved ones, and soul self. I'm your host and author, Julie Jancis. My journey began when I started hearing my late father before I knew he'd passed. Through my readings, membership, and Angel Reiki School, I help you awaken, heal, and master your unique spiritual gifts. If you feel called to work with me, it's your angels guiding you to discover your soul's highest purpose. Details at theangelmedium.com. Thank you, Earth Angels, for the 5-star reviews. You're entered into a drawing to win a free session. Now let's see what messages your angels have for you today.
Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the Angels and Awakening podcast. I'm your host and author, Julie Jancis. Friends, today, I actually, a couple of years ago, reached out to Joan Wester Anderson's people. And if you don't know who she is, she has since passed away. But she would write these books of just beautiful, beautiful angel stories. And so I reached out to her folks and I said, would I be able to read a story from each of the book, a story or two? And they said, absolutely, we would love that. Just promote the book as you do it. So I have a story for you today, and it's just a story that always touched my heart. It's winter time as I'm recording this. It's chilly in the house. I actually went to Costco a couple weeks ago, and there were these, I don't know what you would call them, like just a set of like a top and a bottom. But here in Chicagoland, it gets so cold, right? And they're lined. Now, I've had like lined sets before, matching top and bottom. But then sometimes they get like really pilly in the wash. These are like the most soft, warm, I wanna call them PJs, but they're not, because like, I would run out to Target in them. But it's so cold in our house right now. As I'm gonna read this story about winter, it makes me think of Christmas time to you. Um, and it just makes me feel so cozy. So I hope that you are cozy as you are listening to this. And this is called Snow Angel. It's a story that's a true story. What Joan Wester Anderson used to do is have people write in and share their angel stories. This was in the 90s. She was doing this. And then she would take all of them and put together different compilations of books based on what would come in. And this book is called Angelic Tales, Tails, True Stories of Heavenly Canine Companions. And it's so wild. Joan Wester Anderson lived in the town that I grew up in, I guess, when we came back to Illinois when my parents divorced. And for a time in the 90s, I had no idea, but I lived just a couple blocks away from where she lived when she was writing these angel stories. So sometimes I talk to Joan Wester Anderson, even though I've never met her. I feel like she's a part of my spirit team from the other side. And I ordered a book, this book, Angelic Tales, off of Amazon, off of the used section. And when it came, it had a just an inscription, and it just says blessings, and it has her name, Joan Wester Anderson. So I thought that that was just so sweet. I felt like she was sending me blessings from the other side because in a way I feel like I'm continuing on her work as I work with you. As I work with you to get these angel stories out to the world. And it's really a collaboration, right? Like, I'm not able to get these stories out into the world unless you share them with me. And so often I hear people say, "Oh, Julie, I've thought about sending you my angel stories for years and I just haven't done it." And I always like my first thought is like, "Oh no, they worry about like coming on and whether or not it would be like scary to come on air." And I want to tell people if you feel that way, um don't worry about it. Like, I can always read your story if that's more comfortable for you. But as I'm speaking this out loud, the angels are saying, "No, Julie, some people are just really busy, as we all are, and they just don't have time to get them in." And so if that's you, I totally, totally get it. And I love you. And I hope you submit your angel stories over at theangelmedium.com. You can use the contact form on the contact page. So, without further ado, here is the angel story for today. And yeah, we're going to talk about it a little at the end too. It's called Snow Angel. And if you have this book, it's on page 93. She starts off with a quote by Linda Baxter that reads, "They say that every dog lover has one dog in their life that is their soulmate, the one with whom they share a wondrous and unexplainable connection." "Looks like a major snowstorm is headed our way, folks," announced the radio weatherman. Linda Baxter paused momentarily while buttoning her coat and peered out the window of her Marion, Indiana home. Yes, she could see a few flakes already swirling in what appeared to be a rising wind. How fortunate that her 7-year-old son, Michael, had already boarded his school bus, and in kindergartner Leslie's school was only a block and a half away. If they left by the back gate. Fleetingly, Linda wondered why classes hadn't been canceled already. Indiana storms could get quite heavy in a brief amount of time, but she pushed the worry out of her mind as she reached for her keys and directed Leslie to get onto the back porch. "Wait for Mommy, honey," she called over her shoulder as she locked the door and caught up to Leslie. Now, I think that this is interesting because what Joan writes here is, but she paused. Linda had this worry and she had this thought, right? This is the intuition. And she says, Linda wondered, why hadn't classes been canceled already? But she pushed that worry aside. That's what Joan wrote. She pushed the worry out of her mind and she just got back to her day. So I want you to just pause here and notice that the intuition really is something that's coming in all of the time. And we have the free will to choose to listen to it or not. And so I'll keep reading here. Linda enjoyed walking her daughter to and from school each day. It was an easy route, great exercise for Linda's degenerative arthritis, and a chance for them to quietly talk one-on-one. Leslie enjoyed their routine too, because it meant that she could stop to pat her best friend, Punky, the handsome German shepherd who lived next door. Punky's owners, the Roths, were an older couple who had moved in about a year ago. Punky was Irv Roth's constant companion, joined at the hip, was the way that Jane Roth put it. And because Irv liked to tinker in his garage, it was just a matter of time before Michael and Leslie had met him and fallen in love with Punky too. "Somehow our families blended," said Linda. One of the kids' favorite things to do was to swing with Jane, Irv, and Punky on the front porch. Michael's favorite game was to shovel Irv's walk and not get caught. One Mother's Day, we snuck over during the night and planted flowers in Jane's flower barrel. Oh, it's so wonderful how these families are so close. It's amazing. Each day, Each day since the beginning of school, Leslie had been telling Punky all about kindergarten. Oh, I could just imagine that, right? Like this little girl in kindergarten just talking to this pup about her days. So stinking cute. As well as her special secrets. The large black and tan dog would listen patiently, then give Leslie a sloppy kiss to show she understood. However, as the days grew colder, the Roths were keeping Punky inside most of the time. I miss Punky, Mom, Leslie said as they passed the empty yard. I do too, Linda agreed. But you want Punky to be safe and warm inside, don't you? Leslie nodded. It was almost too cold to talk. Flakes were coming down in full force, and the wind had picked up. Quickly, Linda brought Leslie to her classroom, gave her a goodbye hug, and hurried home. The snow was already a few inches deep. By mid-morning, the announcement of school closings were all over the TV news. Blizzard conditions are predicted, warned the forecasters. There was a chance of whiteouts, those situations in which falling snow becomes so dense a person would lose perspective and sense of direction. At least I don't have to drive, Linda thought as she bundled up again. That would certainly be dangerous. Leslie's school was letting out early, and with any luck, they'd be home in a matter of minutes. Hopefully, Michael's bus would be letting out a little late. Linda left the front door open, but she knew Michael would worry if she was not home when he arrived. This day was becoming so complicated. When Linda stepped out of the back door for the noon hike to school, the snow was already up to her knees. None of the neighbors have shoveled yet, knowing that the wind would simply whip the drifts back onto their sidewalks. This made walking almost impossible. For the first time, Linda was afraid. How was her small daughter going to cope with the deepening snow? How she envied Punky as she passed the Ross house and pictured the dog lying on a warm rug near Eve's chair, and there was no one she could call on for help. The street was populated most by retired couples such as the Ross. It was up to her to protect her children. Staggering into the school, her back aching from the effort, Linda went to the kindergarten room and helped the teacher bundle the last few children into their coats. Then she took Leslie's hand and started out again, pushing the outer door hard to get open. The school was nearly deserted. When we stepped outside, the wind stole Leslie's breath and nearly lifted her off of her feet, Linda says. She clung to my hand and I tried my best to shield her, but the snow had drifted so high she could hardly walk.
Exciting news, friends! Our all new membership kicks off January 1st, and I couldn't be more thrilled to invite you to join us. This year, we've simplified everything with 12 powerful courses designed to help you connect with your angels, take control of your destiny, and use your intuitive gifts to transform your entire personal world, your relationship, professional successes, your healing journey. Plus, you'll get live weekly calls with me for hands on guidance and support. Bonus for members, my January course, Manifest Miracles with Aligned Co Creation, is free for you. Perfect for starting off 2025 with aligned miracles. Non members can grab one of the limited paid spots. And for those looking to start their own healing business, join the Angel Reiki School in person this April or start your journey online January 1st. You're going to learn mediumship, how to be an angel messenger, and energy healing all at once. And as a gift to everyone who listens to this podcast, on December 30th at 7 p.m. Central Time, I'm holding a free healing for you to clear out all of the energy from 2024 and really clear out what's not serving you. And then again on January 1st at noon Central Time, I'm hosting a free 2-hour workshop where you're going to learn how to invite miracles into your 2025 and make this your best year yet. If you're ready to step into a miraculous 2025, sign up for all of this and more at theangelmedium.com/events. That's theangelmedium.com/events. or email me at julie@theangelmedium.com for more information. I can't wait to spend all of 2025 with you in the Angel membership. Love you, friends. Now back to the show.
When we stepped outside, the wind stole Leslie's breath and nearly lifted her off of her feet, Linda says. She clung to my hand, and I tried my best to shield her, but the snow had drifted so high she could barely walk. Each step was a battle, and within minutes, Leslie was wet, exhausted, and in tears. "Come on, honey, just a little bit further," Linda tried to encourage her, but it was almost hopeless. Leslie was too short to make headway through the mounting drifts and too heavy for Linda to carry. The snow swirled around them, hitting their faces with needle-like flakes. Our fingers and feet went numb. Our chests ached. Our fingers and feet were numb. Our chests ached. And our cheeks were wind-burnt, Linda said. The harsh wind bit at their noses, and the wetter they were, the more painful each breath became. The harsh wind bit at their noses, and the wetter they were, the more painful each breath became. Linda dragged Leslie on a few inches at a time, but finally Leslie collapsed into a snowbank and Linda fell alongside of her, her back burning with pain. They lay there for a moment, exhausted and spent. Then Linda struggled to her feet again. She knew it was too dangerous to lie down in the snow. People fell asleep in the snow and froze to death that way. They had to keep going. Reaching for her daughter, Linda looked up at the sky and suddenly she was terrified. In the few moments they had taken to rest, the storm had intensified. The snow was so thick that it was blotting out the items around them, even the trees and houses, and Linda was completely disoriented. The dreaded whiteout. I couldn't tell which direction we were facing or where we were. I was afraid to move because if I went the wrong way, we could be in the street and oncoming traffic would never see us. People died under those conditions too. What should they do? What could they do? They could pray. They asked God Universe Source who made the snow to deliver them out of it. Linda gathered Leslie into her arms, still laying in the drift, and prayed, "Dear Lord, please help us find our way home." Then Linda pulled their exhausted daughter to her feet. With the last of their strength, they had to try again. Just then, Linda spotted a dark shape just ahead. A large bush? A trash can? No, this shape was moving. Out of the blinding snow came an angel sent by God Universe Source to help us, Linda said. It was Punky. The dog ran straight to Leslie and gave her a wet kiss. "Punky!" Leslie cried in delight. "Take us home." She grabbed hold of Punky's collar with one hand and tightly grasped onto Linda with the other. As if she understood everything, Punky began to lead them in a specific direction, fighting her way through the high drifts. But Linda wondered, how would Punky know the right direction, the right path? Even a dog with a fine sense of smell was at a disadvantage in this terrible weather. But Punky seemed to know exactly what she was doing. She leaped forward again and again, scrambling over the snowbanks, dragging Leslie with her. Each step was a struggle, but Punky wouldn't let them stop. When Leslie occasionally lost her hold on the dog, Punky would stop and bark to get them going again. She seemed to realize how dangerous it was for us to be out in the storm, and she kept urging us on, Linda said. The journey seemed endless, and Linda had lost all track of time and location, when suddenly a familiar shape loomed ahead, her backyard gate. Punky had brought them safely home. "Oh, Punky, thank you, Leslie gasped. She gave the dog a final hug, and then Punky turned away. As quickly and as mysteriously as she had appeared, the dog was gone. Linda and Leslie struggled through their backyard with frozen fingers. Linda managed to turn the key and lock, and exhausted, the two fell into the kitchen. Linda looked at the clock. It had taken them over an hour to travel just 2 blocks. They were soaked and freezing, aching in every bone, but safe. Leslie would have a warm bath, and they would share cocoa with marshmallows. Everything would taste better now. for the rest of their lives.
Friends, I'm pausing for 30 seconds because I love, love, love connecting with you and I want to connect with you more. Got a question? Let me answer it for you on the podcast. The link to submit your questions is in the show notes. Also, we need your angel stories. Share your angel stories at theangelmedium.com/contact. And last but not least, leave a 5-star review and you could win a free 20-minute session. Last year, I did 56 free readings for review winners. All links are in the show notes. Thank you for listening. Now, back to the show.
But before another minute passed, Linda had to call Jane Roth and thank her for Punky's extraordinary help. "How did you know we were in trouble?" she asked Jane. "Why would you send Punky out in that storm?" "I didn't," Jane explained. "Punky had been sleeping peacefully next to Irv's chair when suddenly she leapt up and started to bark. She seemed very agitated and kept jumping around the back door. Irv finally let her out. Punky disappeared into the blizzard as Irv watched, puzzled. What would possess a dog to go out on such a freezing day? And when Punky didn't return right away, Irv became worried. It was too dangerous to go out and search for her, so he had begun to call to her. His voice was becoming strained. When almost an hour later, an exhausted Punky dragged herself into the yard, walked warily into the house, and collapsed beside Irv's chair. "She's sleeping soundly," Jane reported, "and now we know why. Punky would definitely get a special supper that night." Tears stung Linda's eyes as she hung up the phone, tears of relief and tears of gratitude, but mostly tears of love. Punky's love had saved their lives. She would never know how, but that wasn't important. The Indiana blizzard turned into a state of emergency, with factories, offices, and schools closed for several days. The temperatures dipped below zero. The wind gusts caused many cases of frostbite. However, the mood in the Baxter household was definitely upbeat. How often we come to a place in life where we are unable to see a way home, and every turn seems impossible, Linda says. In those moments, that's when we must trust that God, Universe Source, is in control and that they know the way and that they will not let us surrender to the blizzards that surround us. Instead, God, Universe Source sends a furry, four-legged angel to guide them home at last. Oh, I just love that story so much because, friends, our dogs are angels, aren't they? They are so with us all of the time here on earth, supporting us. I hope that you have been so blessed in your life to have that warm companion of a friend, to just be able to look at your pet eye to eye and just recognize their soul and receive their love. I think I might have talked about it before, but I just love the Instagram reel that shows a woman petting a squirrel, like rubbing his chin. And something along the reel says, when you feel love for the first time, because after the woman stops scratching the squirrel's chin, it pauses for a moment and the squirrel takes its itty bitty little squirrel hands and the woman's finger, and it just brings her finger right back up to the squirrel's chin to like I want your love, like I want to keep feeling you pet me. And it's so incredibly true. When we've been collecting these angel stories over the years, and I can't believe in January 2025, we have been running the podcast new episodes every single week for 6 years, that we have gotten so many submissions from you about animals. And one of the things that the angels are saying to kind of put out to you is in 2025, I'm going to look for, actually, I'm just going to put it out there right now. I need a new committee to help me with angel stories. And if you are somebody who would like to volunteer to help me with angel stories, I would just absolutely love that. You can email me over at julie@theangelmedium.com. That's julie@theangelmedium.com. We're going to be putting together a committee who will help us find the best angel stories to bring to you. It's a lot of work. There's so many angel stories, and you just want to make sure that they're actual angel stories. Sometimes people submit one here and there that's more ghosty and talking about things as ghosts or negative energy. And I'm like, oh, no, no, that's not our podcast. We are all positivity, all love. And we don't like to see things as ghosty because they're not. It's just your loved ones coming through from the other side. So that's a misconception that we try and work through. And that's what I teach the committee is here's what we're looking for in angel stories, and how to kind of go through them and help us collect them. But if that's you and you want to volunteer for the Angel Story Committee, we'd love, love, love to have you. Just email me, julie@theangelmedium.com. Love you so much, friends. Have a beautiful, beautiful, blessed day.
If this podcast aligns with you and you feel called to work with me, thank you. Your support keeps this Angel podcast alive. Here are 3 ways to work with me. Book a session with me to hear directly from your angels and loved ones. Or my angel membership helps you connect with your angels, embrace your purpose, and build unshakable confidence. Like learning to read or ride a bike, you're going to gain skills that last forever, knowing who you are, why you're here, and direction that lasts a lifetime. Or my Angel Reiki School offers certification in mediumship, energy healing, and angel messaging while showing you how to master your gifts and start a successful spiritual business. Now, I want you to pause, tune in, connect with your angels, maybe take a deep breath and ask them, how can I serve as an earth angel today? What guidance do you have for me right now? How will you let me know you're near? And allow your angels to support you all day. Friends, I'll see you at the Angels and Awakening podcast here every Monday and Thursday. And thank you for listening. You're my angel.